Hello everyone. Yesterday I made a claim in my video when it was discovered that about, 8 broadcasters were being directly paid by Russia through shell companies and shit. But they all knew where the talking points came from. They knew whose talking points they were spouting. Those talking points are commonplace anywhere from Sean Hannity to Tucker Carlson to Tim Pool to Ben Shapiro to who is the other one? Benny Johnson, I think is his name. I never watched one of their podcasts. You know why? Because they're all automatons spouting the same talking points. If you've seen one, you've seen them all. In fact, I don't watch anyone's political broadcasts. I don't need to. Way past that. I don't need someone to explain anything to me. So what it comes down to is after that discovery was made yesterday, and they're all scrambling to save their Russian-funded grift that they got going that they never would have gotten anywhere else. They always find the biggest degenerates to throw on camera and be their mouthpiece for these propaganda networks. Whether it's a government network funded by Russia, public relations firm, whatever it is, whatever the entity is, they're willing to finance some pretty bad things. But anyway, I made a claim yesterday that because I like to back things up, I'm going to read this to you. Someone made the argument for me, and I love when that happens. And I just found this now. I made the video you just watched yesterday. Regarding Mr. Johnson, Mr. Pool, etc., all the Russian operatives that took that Russian money for doing like one video a week, mainly known for their YouTube activity. I just learned a new name, Lauren Chen, I think is her name. I didn't even know she existed. Another right-wing grifter, dispensing Russian talking points for money. None of these people are talented enough to make that kind of money, $100,000 a week to do like one video. Mr. Pool was making $400,000 a month, allegedly. Does Mr. Pool can't honestly think he's that talented, right? To be paid $100,000 a week to do one video, dispensing Russian talking points. No, he doesn't think that. He knew he'd never get that kind of money anywhere else in his life for anything else. So he had to sell his soul and do the bidding of a guy named Vlad, who's one of the most evil people ever born, who bombs schools, churches, hospitals, does not care. He just wants to make a point. These people, again, they're just more examples of how so many people are willing to do anything for that nice car, nice house, comfortable life, fame and fortune. Anyway, I made a claim in that video, and I like to back up what I say. Because I'm not an adjudicated criminal, an adjudicated liar, a stalker, crazy person. I'm a guy you can believe. But I still like to back up what I say. So again, I made the claim that Mr. Musk had some Russian money involved. I used the phrase, there were 2 Russian oligarchs that went in with Mr. Musk when he bought Twitter. The Saudis went in and other entities as well. I've been saying this since Musk bought Twitter. I didn't have the evidence yet. Well, the evidence just came out a couple days ago or very recently, and I haven't talked about it because I don't have fucking time. But this is important, so I'm going to read this to you. It's a thread someone wrote. I did not write this. I want to make that clear. I'm not trying to take credit for someone else's work. I never do that. Elon Musk received funding from sanctioned Russian oligarchs. A court document revealed that Musk's acquisition of Twitter, now rebranded as X, was funded in part by an investment fund of Russian oligarchs, Peter Avin and Vadim Moshkovich. Let me read that part again, because I've been saying it since Musk bought Twitter. I've been saying it on camera to everyone. Already knew this. It's just verification of what I already knew. But you maybe didn't know, all three of you. One more time. A court document revealed that Musk's acquisition of Twitter was funded in part by an investment fund of Russian oligarchs Peter Avin and Vadim Moshkovich. Case closed, proof given. Over. They didn't want that list to come out. Well, the list finally came out of who actually bought Twitter. All the parties. You ain't gonna like some of the names on there. One guy's being sought for possible sex trafficking right now. A certain dude that tried to convince all of us that he's just such a big-time music producer and all that. That's where he got all his money from and his riches. Nope. Turns out it was something else. That's why he's being sought for alleged sex trafficking and other things. So here we have the proof in the court documents. Search the court documents for yourself. I've seen parts of them. I didn't need to read every word. I already knew this stuff was happening and who was all behind it. Been talking about it for months and years. These Russians who gave money to Musk, Avin and Moskovich, have strong ties to Putin and have been subject to Western sanctions due to their associations with the Kremlin amid their war of aggression in Ukraine. So these guys are on sanction lists. Russian oligarchs with ties to Putin. Do you hear me? Mr. Musk, the moral authority, the guru, the genius, went in with the Russians and the Saudis to buy the most influential text website that there is. Let that sink in. Because it should mean something to you. Propaganda, powerful tool. Just look at what the Nazis did. Look at what MAGA did and are still doing, and what Vlad is doing to our country and has been doing for several decades. Ukrainians died because of this as well. It's another thing that got revealed in court documents about Mr. Musk. I explained to you people. He was pretending to be a small child on one of his fake Twitter accounts. He had to admit that in court. Richest man in the world, guru, genius, was going around websites pretending he was a small child and had to admit that in court. The documents are public. Find them and enjoy them for yourself. So, they're subject to Western sanctions. They're tied to Putin and the Kremlin. It is illegal to engage in financial transactions with individuals or entities on the sanctions list. Yeah, that's why they went through different channels, including sanctioned Russian oligarchs without a license from the U.S. Treasury Department's official Office of Foreign Assets Control. Yeah, everybody knows it's naughty to deal with people on the sanctions list. Everyone knows this. That doesn't need to be explained to an oligarch or a company, etc. They know what they're doing. There's more. This includes receiving investments or funding from Russian oligarchs in the United States. The penalties for violating sanctions can be severe, include fines up to $1 million or twice the value of the transaction, plus criminal penalties up to 20 years in prison. This is serious shit, people. That's been going on for 2 decades at least. That's why there's serious penalties for it. Again, we have foreign actors infiltrating the United States via grifters. Dangerous. That's why there's billion-dollar defamation judgments going on. $750 million defamation settlements going on. 500 million defamation judgments going on. That's why the numbers are so high. It's doing real quantifiable, hardcore damage. And all the websites have profited off of it every second. Let's continue. There may be exceptions or licenses available for certain transactions, and the specifics can be complex. If Musk received funding from sanctioned Russian oligarchs without proper authorization, he will face regulatory issues and criminal prosecution. No, he won't face any of that, most likely. Do I believe he did do this without permission from the government? Of course I do. He's Elon Musk. He can do whatever he wants, right? He can do whatever he wants, right? Isn't that what most people will say? Because he's a god, right? No. It shouldn't be that way anyway. So again, do I believe he did that without the licenses or permissions from the government? Yeah, until I hear otherwise. Because I know the type of person he is. If I hear otherwise, I'll say otherwise. No problem. Will he face this, 20 years in prison or any type of prosecution? Probably not. He's an oligarch. The Department of Justice has not publicly announced investigations, prosecutions. Elon Musk may have already received a target letter. He would not necessarily disclose such a thing. A grand jury's proceedings are secret. In light of DOJ's recent indictment, it is clear authorities are laser focused on Putin's attempts to influence American politics. If only the websites were laser focused on it for the last 20 years, we might not have had Pizzagate. We might not have had Alex Jones. We might not have had someone going, to a location with a gun to save the little children's based on Russian op lies propagated by right-wing grifters on camera that this website gladly platformed. Gladly. They still platforming most of them except Alex. Still making money on this shit. In light of the DOJ's recent indictment, laser focused on Putin's attempts to influence American politics, it is unlikely law enforcement would look past a social media site's owner illegally taking money from Putin's sanctioned oligarchs. Well, the owner is an oligarch, so I doubt he'll ever be prosecuted. It's a nice fantasy, though, that they won't overlook it. Hey, they let the guy that tried to overthrow the government run again. They can overlook anything, son. I love his optimism, though. Since receiving money from sanctioned Russian oligarchs, Musk has done an about-face on Mr. Trump. Musk now unabashedly supports Trump, and he does so on Twitter, a violation of his earlier promise. Yes, he made all kinds of promises, one of them being that he didn't want to put his finger on the scale of politics. That wasn't his intention. Of course that was his intention. From second one. That's why they wanted the website. This website, again, was one of the most effective tools against this whole grift that's going on. All the way up to Donnie Shitbags. That's why they had to buy it. That's why they had to buy CNN and all the other places they bought. It's why they have to deploy the Russian shills. And when I say Russian shills, I mean people being paid by Russia, not necessarily from Russia. This is why all this is necessary. All these corporations want their tax cuts, and they're willing to sacrifice America and you and me for it. All day, every day. Musk admitted he spoke to Vlad more than once about Ukraine. That's nice, isn't it? Musk pushed Putin's peace deal that involved Ukraine giving Crimea to Russia. Yeah, I'm sure everyone would be glad to give a piece of their neighborhood to murdering thugs and rapists. I'm sure, right? Elon Musk has questioned American involvement in Ukraine's self-defense efforts. And here's the point he's trying to make. And no, he's not trying to make that point. I am. These talking points, again, go all the way up to Hannity and Tucker and all the way down to the smallest right-wing grifter. They're all uniform talking points. Ukraine bad, Russia good. Been going on for years now. All coordinated talking points. They all know where the talking points are coming from. They all know where the money's coming from. Mr. Musk knew where the money was coming from. That's why he's spouting these talking points. Russian talking points. The owner of a website. What did I say in the last video? He's the errand boy for Vlad and the Saudis. What's he spouting on social media? Whatever Vlad wants him to. Interesting. The coincidences. The streamlining of the message. Up to the highest paid grifter, Mr. Hannity, all the way down to the lowest, smallest right-wing grifter that's still allowed to operate on this website, although I'm not. Anyway, Elon Musk has questioned American involvement in Ukraine's self-defense efforts. He refused a check from the Pentagon, has proposed a pro-Russia plan to end the conflict, and has openly questioned Ukraine's strategy in the war. Elon Musk has questioned American involvement in Ukraine's self-defense efforts. He refused. Oh, I just read that part. Sorry, I got a copy, duplicate. Here is Elon Musk promoting the Tennessee media company, who was receiving millions of dollars from Putin to push Russian propaganda. He's promoting it. What did I just say in the last video? And in several of my videos recently. They promote it. He ain't the only website promoting these types of people. This website does it. All the other ones too. Because it makes some money. Literal Russian propagandists. The owner of this website, Twitter, he literally, comments on it or reposts it. And it's called Tenet now, T-E-N-E-T Media. Tenet, like that movie Tenet that came out, which is very interesting but confusing, a few years ago. So Tenet Media has a connection to the state of Tennessee. The Tennessee Media Company. Here's Musk underneath. Double exclamation point on this post. NASA's DEI trainings include engineers vocalizing they feel shame for being white. What child who watches this with such utter political bias and such utter just angst inside them would believe this statement that I just read you? Believe this story put out by a Russian propagandist? And there's a picture of a woman here, and I believe it's the woman who's associated with RT, Russia Today. I'm not sure. They don't name this woman, but I've seen pictures of her, and I know she has involvement. And so what makes it an obvious Russian op, the statement I just read you, they're mentioning NASA. Part of the big race between us and Russia since 1945 is the space race that no one cares about anymore. Literally no one. No one gives a shit. They're too busy with their smartphones. They don't care about rockets and going to space anymore like they did in 1969. So the fact that they're even talking about that entity, NASA, tells me all I fucking need to know. Such obvious $3 Russian propaganda. That the alleged richest guy in the world, there's a picture of him in his Baphomet costume that he looks real cute in, doesn't he? Yeah, Baphomet costume. You heard me. That's what he wore a little while ago, and he uses it for his icon. For all you Christians out there that say you're Christian. Yeah, here he is right here. Promoting the Tennessee media company who was receiving millions of dollars from Putin. Why is he pushing Putin's propaganda? What connection? Oh, the Russian oligarchs that help him buy Twitter. His website's banned in Russia, though. Why is he helping Russia? Oh, because it's something about more than free speech and all the bullshit he claims it's about. It's about him and the oligarchy that he's associated with. Dudes like Putin. Dudes like the person that tried to overthrow the government of Brazil. That's who Elon's down with. And so he has no problem dispensing Russian talking points. Obvious Russian talking points. Talking about NASA, for fuck's sake. Who the fuck gives a shit about NASA anymore except some ex-KGB jagoff who's ruining the world? No one gives a shit about NASA. On Twitter, Elon Musk posted an AI-generated image. I couldn't believe this. That violates his own policy, depicting Kamala Harris as a communist in a red uniform with a hammer and sickle. The rubes don't even know what the word communism means, first of all, but it's funny that they use it all the time. Again, this propaganda has been used on the American public since 1945 and before. Commie bad, capitalist good. Democracy good, allegedly. Communism bad. That's what we heard. Now we got one political party, the literal party that would spout all that bullshit, taking money from the Russians, wherever they can get it, whatever oligarch they need to go to. And that's the part that people still aren't talking about. A lot of people in the Senate and Congress, in our government, taking money from Russia right now. Have been for years. They still allowed to operate, though. DOJ ain't going after them. Going after peons that did the bidding of an orange con man and ruined their lives for it. Hope it was worth it. So yes, Elon posted an AI fake picture of Kamala Harris, and I like the name Kamala better personally because of the wrestler from the 80s. I used to like wrestling when I was a child. Don't like it anymore. It was entertaining when I was a kid. I remember the wrestler Kamala, and I'm not trying to insult Kamala Harris. I just like pronouncing it that way better. I'm not trying to insult her. Anyway, so yes, the richest man in the world, genius, visionary, guru, man who was born on third and thinks he hit a triple, or trying to tell us he hit a triple. Anyway, convince us. He posted a fake picture of the woman who's running for president in a communist uniform. The owner, as he's doing Russia's bidding, as he went in with Russian oligarchs to buy the website, he's calling Kamala a communist. I don't expect the rubes to understand the irony in that whole situation, because all you care about is your team winning. But that's some heavy irony, man. Heavy. Kamala vows to be a communist dictator on day one. Yeah, no one vowed to be a dictator on day one except the Orange Wonder. He literally said that. I'll only be a dictator on day one. Okay, America doesn't want a dictator ever. Ever. Elon Musk has repeatedly boosted the accounts of MAGA posters Tim Pool and Benny Johnson, who the DOJ has now exposed as recipients of large sums of Russian money. And there's all kind of posts from those two to support what this person is saying. So Elon has boosted these accounts, puts the Russian shills right to the forefront, and agrees with it and promotes it, etc., just like all the websites do. And that's it. And I just wanted to read this to you to back up my claim yesterday. I don't just say things again, and I wanted to prove that. When I say two Russian oligarchs helped Mr. Musk buy the website, that's true. I based that on something. And I didn't find this till after the video I did yesterday. I already knew this, but he worded it so eloquently, and it made my point for me. So again, I'll be doing videos on this whole story because there's so much to it. There's so much treachery, treason, websites that platform these people, that tell us we can't broadcast, that we're doing something wrong. Adjudicated criminals that platform Russian shills because they make money off them. And they want their tax cuts, just like every other corporation, despite what they say publicly. That's where we at. They allowed this for 2 decades at least. Didn't protect us, didn't care about America, not one bit. This guy that bought this website, Mr. Musk, he's actively promoting Russian talking points. And people are dying because of it. In a country called Ukraine. Could Musk care? No. He just wants his empire of 200 billion to be 300 billion or 800 billion or a trillion. That's all. That's what his life's about. Fuck all of us, right? That's what the websites say. That's what Mr. Musk says. That's what those shill paid Russian assets, basically, whether they knew it or not, on camera, that all these platforms allow to spew their bullshit and lies that damage our country. That's what they're all about. Who gets the biggest house, the nicest car, the prettiest wife, whatever. That's all they care about. And they've sold us all out for it. All of us. As they claim to be protecting us on their websites. As they claim to care about America. That's in quotes. Have a wonderful day.